4, 3, 2, 1.
Whether you've been married 1 or 20 plus years, at some point you realize you married into crazy. And that's what our show is all about. If your marriage or relationship is compassionate, real, accountable, zealous and yielding, or just plain crazy, Snooks and Lovey offer love, laughter, and a dose of reality as they unpack this thing called marriage. Sit back, relax, and get your ear hustle on. It's time to start the conversation.
Welcome back to another episode of the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey.
I'm Snooks.
And I'm Lovey.
And it's been a minute.
Yeah, we took a little bit of a impromptu hiatus there. But first, before we explain why we had the hiatus, just wanted to remind you that we're a couple that have been married for 27 plus years. We've been through some stuff, right? So I'm not going to go into it, but we are going to actually replay, not today, but in the near future, we're going to replay the very beginning to really go through our story about how we got engaged after knowing each other for only 4 months, and then ended up getting stabbed through the heart by my wife's ex-boyfriend. He's like, why is he smiling? Well, that's just what happened. And we survived and went through a lot during that process. Had to have 2 open heart surgeries as a result. And then somebody, I'm not going to say any names, asked for a divorce 4 years into the marriage after all the drama. We survived that. And as a result of all those things that we went through coaching, we went through counseling, but we were still looking for something that we couldn't put our fingers on it. But as we made our way back to each other and we grew, we realized that we needed some coaching. We needed to find something. So we created what we were looking for. And that is the Married into Crazy podcast and coaching. And crazy stands for what?
Compassionate, real, accountable, zealous, and yielding.
Right. And we believe that we can be all those things. If we can be more compassionate, more real, accountable, more zealous, or even more yielding in our relationships when it comes to our finances, when it comes to parenting, when it comes to our intimacy, and just about every aspect of our marriage, by being more crazy, we can actually go from good to great.
From great to phenomenal. So, I mean, I feel like a lot of times they think, oh, well, we're good, but kind of just piggybacking on what Lovey said, there's always room to be more compassionate, always room to be more real. And when we say real, we're talking about being in the moment, not the made up story that was in your head. And now I'm about to just let him know I'm snapping my fingers, whatever. Accountable, zealous, and yielding. You could be at level 10 on all of those things, but there's always going to be room to grow. So don't count it out.
Absolutely. There's a reason why the Maserati, as beautiful as it is, still gets taken in for maintenance, right? I don't care what you drive. It could be the most amazing car, Bugatti, Mercedes, what have you, but it always needs to go in for a tune-up, for an oil change.
They're always trying to improve on whatever. You have those top-notch cars, the top of the line cars, and then in a few years there's another car that surpasses that. So if we could, in our minds, if we think that we can improve on what's already great, then why would we not take that opportunity to do that in our relationships? Because I'm telling you right now, every other year iPhone comes out with a phone, right? Apple comes out with a phone, right? So
I thought she was going to say, I'm going to tell you right now, he's got a lot of room to improve.
Hey, I ain't say it, but.
See, she's doing Jedi mind tricks.
I got mind control.
But here's the deal. Do us a favor. Go over to wherever you're listening, whether that's Apple iTunes, if it's on Spotify, iHeartRadio, on audible.com, Amazon Music, wherever you're listening to us or even watching us on YouTube. If there's an opportunity for you to go ahead and hit that like, leave a comment, please do. And add some stars while you're at it. Put 5 on it.
Right. I mean, and also, there are ways that we are able to be a part of your marriage, bless your marriage or whatever. Go over to marriedinthecrazy.com. There's our store. You can check out our gear. I got one of my shirts on. And there's also our couple to couple coaching, kind of like Lovey talked about. And then there's also something that we call RTB.
Right, and that's raisethebarmarriage.com. You can access it through Married Into Crazy, but you can also just go directly at raisethebarmarriage.com. And that is more of a self-paced coaching program. We there's 18 small vignettes where we broach a few topics, 18 different topics. And it's to spark conversation between you and your spouse, you and your fiance, you and your long committed loved one, to have some conversation about getting to the next level. Things to consider. There's a workbook that's involved. It's nominally priced, and it's one of those things that, don't take it from us. Look at the videos on there from couples that range from being premarital all the way up through almost 20 years of marriage and what they say about the program. Mm-hmm. But those are all different ways that we endeavor to really pour into your marriage.
Right.
So let's get you caught up. We were off the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
For a few reasons.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, one of them was
we went on vacation.
We went to Puerto Vallarta. Actually, we're in Nuevo Vallarta.
Oh, no.
Which
we went to both, so yeah.
There's only the river that separates the two, but we went to Mexico and had an amazing time.
Yeah, it was, like Lovey said, it was much needed. I'm going to be honest, when we first talked about going, I was like, oh, yeah, okay, we'll go. And it was not up until the night before that I started really getting excited. And I mean, as some of you may know what happened last year, we went on vacation and we lost our son. And so that's
when we came back,
I'm sorry. Yeah. 2 days later, our son passed away. So that stuck with me. Like, I don't know that I want to go anywhere. And it was just Lovey and I going. Usually we're just like, let's just hurry up and go. We ain't even gonna pack. We just buy everything new. We just get out of here. But I felt, I don't know. I just didn't feel like I was ready. So it wasn't until the day before, that we were packing. I was like, shoot, I got to pack. So then the adrenaline started going, and I started getting excited about it. And I'm very glad that we took the trip, because we did need to get away. There's so much going on.
We did need to get away. And it's funny. She wasn't ready for that particular reason, but then I didn't admit it at the time, but it was actually going through my head as well about the last time we took like a big vacation, we came back to tragedy. And this time we were going on vacation and a tragedy had just happened. We just lost our pastor and our uncle and a close friend. He was all those things. Mm. And my wife's practically her big brother. He was like a big brother to her. And he was somebody that was always available. And it was just one of those things that made me start questioning my mortality, or at least facing my mortality. Mm-hmm. Again, even on the plane, I had an uneasiness about me, even as I was leaving, because our kids were here and they were taking care of Isaiah, and it was just a nervousness that I'm not used to.
Yeah. But, once we got there, so I'm real, I mean, until I get settled in the room, I'm like, everything is suspect. I'm just like, I don't know, I mean, from airport pickup to bellhop to concierge to I just need to see the room, and I need to get settled and look around. I'm talking. What are you talking about?
Let me tell you about your girl. So look,
here we go.
So here's the story begins. So I told her as we got off the plane, I got a handle. I've got the transportation taken care of. Everything's good. We're going to walk through this area in PV Airport over in Puerto Vallarta. And I said, look, don't talk to anybody. Don't make eye contact. Don't engage with them. We're just going to go straight. I even showed her the map. This is how we're going to walk. This is where we're going to go. The person that we need to actually meet up with is going to be outside. And I even told her what they were wearing.
He did not.
I did.
You're exaggerating.
I did.
No,
I pointed out to her, I said they're going to be wearing brown pants and a white shirt.
You act like he told me that he was dressed like Jared or something.
So I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. So I'm walking through, and usually I'm the one with the reputation for wanting to talk to everybody. I'm walking through. These guys are like, you should have heard some of the stuff they were saying. They were making up things for your safety, senor. You need to speak with me. Oh no, you're going to be taken. No, hey, hold on. They came up with some crazy stuff that they were saying. Snooks is stopping like, huh? What?
No, that is not.
What are you talking about?
No, that is. Oh my gosh.
What are you selling?
No, because the one dude, he was like, oh, you need to have a car. He was trying to get Lovey to stop and talk to him. But Lovey, like he said, he had already had everything taken care of. So I was just like, bruh, get away from me. I didn't want to be like super rude or whatever. But he was like trying to walk with me. And so I told him, I was like, we already have transportation. He's like, oh, did you? I said, we already have transportation. Thank you. I said it twice. And that's all I said. Lovey turned around and he saw the guy talking to the guy. He was like, he might as well have snapped his fingers like, come on, let's go. And I was like, I'm right behind you. I'm going to need you to calm down. Okay.
I was James Evans. Florence, get your butt over here.
Florence, Florida.
Florida. I said Florence. Good Lord. Hey, so we go there and then we get in the ride, and I should have known I was ill prepared because as soon as we get in, the other people that were getting a ride too, they had water, cases of beer.
Yeah,
and
they had food.
I had a protein bar.
So the people were nice. Now, mind you, this was our first time there, but some of the people they were members of this particular resort. And so they're just talking about, kind of how things go, what they do, stuff like that. So we get there, we get in the room and we get settled. I was like, okay, the room's clean because I'm big on that. What was that? The pond? Not the pond.
Oh, the plunge pool?
The plunge pool was suspect though. I was like, we're not, because I'm thinking Barbados, we had a plunge pool on our balcony and it was dope. Yeah. It was. So, but this one looks suspect. But anyway,
it looked like it's just a place where we're supposed to wash our feet.
Yeah, it did, huh? Like I'm like, we're supposed to get in there. It's a kiddie pool. So, but we get there, and Lovey loves to be adventurous, and we said there would be no agendas. We're not doing whatever. We're not going to be on no timelines or anything like that. I'm like, I got my books. I just want to read and I want to chill. So he was chomping at the bit. I got to say, I got to give it to him. Lovey was trying so bad to just not suggest that we do anything. He was like, well, okay, we're going to relax and we just going to, but you know how someone does nervous pacing? It was almost like that. He couldn't be still nowhere. I'll climb on the bed and prop the pillows up and, I'm reading. I'm cool. He went and sat on the balcony. He came back. He was in the living room. He came back. He went in the kitchen. And then he came in the bathroom, went in the bathroom. He was everywhere. And he went back on the balcony. I was like, are you okay? He was like, I'm telling you right now, I don't know what to do with myself. I said, you look like you don't know what to do with yourself because we don't have any plans, So I was like, all right. So
no plans, no excursions,
nothing
planned.
Nothing was planned, but it wasn't like, oh, we're not doing anything. So we go downstairs and we went to the concierge. He was like, we can set you up with blah, 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 whatever. They have this booklet. So I said, okay, let's look at it. So we picked a couple of things. We picked.
First off, before we tell you what we picked, I was still trying to be cool. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to make this about me and stuff that I want to do. I recommended the shopping, the walk around town and shopping.
He did.
And stuff that I thought she would like.
And he did. And I would have liked that. The only problem is that he would have to be with me. And that meant...
Oh, the truth comes out.
That meant that if I start spending too much money, he going to be looking at me funny. So I was just like, you know what? As lovely as that sounded, because it was a walking tour around the town, and you get to eat at different restaurants or what have you. But I was like, I don't know. Plus, it was the weather out there. When you're out in the tropics, it could rain and then it's burning up hot 5 minutes later. So, we didn't do that. But he did. He was very open, and I appreciated that. So we agreed on there was a little function, not function, but they had a show at the hotel, which we were going to go to. But then someone else was like, oh, we saw this thing, Rhythm of the Nights, at the airport. And I was like, ooh, that looks like it would be so much fun. So we was like, okay, we'll do that one. And let's also do another excursion. So there was like ATV, whatever, all these other different ones, and a zip line one. He was like, ooh, this looks like it would be dope. He didn't say anything like, oh, let's do it. He just kept looking at it. And he was reading it. He was like, this looks like it would be so much fun, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, you want to do that? He was like, yeah, I want to do that. And he was getting ready to turn the page. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And he's like, are you serious? So anyone who knows me.
Come on. Say it.
Anyone who knows me knows that I'm not that girl. I'm not about
that
outdoors type of wilderness and adventure or any of that. I'm not that girl. So I said, let's do it. So he was like, okay, cool. So we signed up to do the zip line, right?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
We thought it was just like one or two zip lines. At first, let me put this out there. That we set that up, and we set up the Rhythm of the Night. But I have to give you a premise for all of this. What I really love is, and I took a book. I did take a book. She said we weren't going to do anything, so I did take a book, and it's a book called His Needs, Her Needs, and it just talks about relationships, right, and how to really come together as a couple and have a phenomenal relationship. Just a hint: you should always be reading as it pertains to how to make your relationship better. But in chapter 6 of the book, it talks about recreational companionship.
See, I didn't know all this, so go ahead, finish.
And in that chapter of recreational companionship, they allude to the fact that you can do things separately, but you should always be each other's recreational companion on some level. I'm not saying it has to be all the time. You hear the stories about people that say, like, oh, as we were dating, we went out on golfing dates. And then once you actually get married, then one of them's like, I don't want to golf no more. And the other person's left thinking like, well, what? I thought we were so compatible in this respect.
Well, you're a fraud. Did you trick me?
Right, exactly. And they were saying, even if that's not it, find something that you can do together to be recreational companions. And this was one of those events that, I was completely shocked. Because we've been places before, and I've invited her to go ziplining. Like, we were in Puerto Rico. I went ziplining by myself.
And I went to the spa.
And this time I went ziplining with her, and I went to the spa. But
yeah, he went to the spa.
But it was one of those things where it's extremely important. And I just, it's not just us saying this. There are other clinical therapists as well as coaches that will tell you to find something that you can do together that's adventurous. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So kind of back to the story. Just like he said, it was an eye opener for me because I had the most fun. Oh my gosh. That was just like, I ain't going to say, oh, I got the bug and I want to keep on doing it. It was a lot of fun though. I tell you that. It was so much fun. The first time, so we went up, we went and we took a boat ride, picked up some other people. We went to like another little villa, and then we took like a Jeep or whatever up this hill. We were going up hecka high.
Up into the mountains.
Up into the mountains, yes. So then when we get there, we had to get on some donkeys. I did not like the donkeys at all. I was like, oh my God, because, there's donkey mess all over. And that's all I thought about is, if this donkey get mad, he gonna make me fall off, We went up. And then we walked even some more up to like the tip of the valley, whatever. So everybody was going, and I was just like, oh my God, because it was hecka far. So I was like, Lovey, you go first. And Lovey went first. They train you and they tell you what to do, how to hold it, blah, blah, blah. And I got on there and I was like, the guy was like, bye, Rana.
We got video. So I'm gonna try and put some videos up.
and I screamed all the way across. I think it was like, that was like a football field long, right? Maybe even longer. No, longer than a football field. But oh my gosh, it was all the way across. And I was so scared at first because I was like, I'm not looking down. I'm not looking around. I just kept looking straight ahead. So when after the first time I did it, I was like, okay, I could do it. So we did another one. We did like about 7, I think. We rappelled down a waterfall.
Yep.
You would have thought that I was I'm training for the SEALs or something like that. The dude was like, "This your first time?" I was like, "Yep." I was on it. I was
People
doing
forget
it.
She's competitive.
Yeah, I am competitive. I was trying to make it down the wall.
Yeah, there are other couples out there doing it too, and it wasn't all just a couple thing, but there were other people.
Some families.
A dad with his kids, another dad with his daughter, but there were 2 other couples that were there. And Rana was like, I will not be outdone.
We will not be, we're not going to be that couple that's out there looking crazy. That's not what was going to happen. So,
yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, it was so much fun, you guys. It was so much fun. But just kind of getting back to like, that's something that we never have done together before. And it reminded me of the reasons why you should be open-minded to adventure, Number one, you never know if you'll really like it. I feel like if I like it, everybody should like it. Because like I said, I am not that girl to be out there in the wilderness on some crazy stuff. Some crazy stuff.
We still talking vacation or sex?
Wow. Both.
Yeah. See, she's saying try some crazy stuff. She said try some crazy stuff because you will like it.
No, I won't like it. We're not doing that one thing that you like, no.
Right? I was like, come on.
Anyway.
I got the trapeze all set up.
My knees are bad. But, kind of just piggybacking on what you said about chapter 6, the reasons why couples should do more things. You're talking about shared experiences. So we talked about this and we talked about it and we laughed about it and we shared it with our family and everything. So that creates a shared experience where we have memories of that, of me doing something that was outlandish as far as I'm concerned, but us being able to experience that, it was almost like, even though we were out and about with other people, it was kind of intimate for me because it was us two, and no one knows, no one knew me and knew my history or about the angst that I had about heights and, bugs and wilderness and just all that. So I felt like it created like, a little bit of an intimacy, even though, like I said, we were far away from, we were out and about in the open, but it's like intimacy in the open. Because that was our first time doing something like that together.
Yeah, in new places, trying new things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It made me feel like, wow, I could do so much more. And he gave me that space. He made it safe. He didn't make fun of me when I did something wrong. He was very encouraging when he would go first. He was waiting for me to get there and just always like, okay, how'd you like it? How was that one? So it created, it was like almost a deeper level. Even we've been married for 27 years, almost 28 years, but never having done anything like that. So,
and there's a beauty to that where the discovery, even at, we've been married this long. We've been married for over a quarter of a century.
Dang.
And we're still discovering each other and still discovering things about each other and pushing limits.
Right.
We're testing those limits. Like you said, we had to get video and pictures because I was like, nobody would believe. Look, if you go play in the backyard and you come in, the first thing she's going to see like, you smell like the outdoors.
I'm just thinking, you just don't sit on the couch smelling like outside.
Yeah, but it's just one of those things that there's a little bit of an aversion to
outdoor activity.
Just being outdoor activity, right?
To the funk.
And so for her to try this is huge. But then for us to experience it together, it also makes me, I'd be remiss if I didn't really point out that when it comes to marriages, regardless of how long you've known each other, we've had clients, that we coach that have been married since or not married, but have been together since junior high school. We've had some that have been together since college. We've had some that have been together, together for a decade and then got married. But you always think, oh, I know them. We change. We change, and we have the opportunity to always grow. And this was an experience where here we are in this foreign country, and we're doing things that we've never done before. I've rappelled and I've ziplined before, but I've never done it with my wife. And there were opportunities to push limits. And I think we have to do that, because if you're not pushing the limits of your marriage, and I'm not saying craziness like, hey, I think we should bring somebody else into the marriage, which will probably end up being another topic for another day. But just one of those things that...
I thought you was going to say something else. I was like, no, bro.
That's the next vacation.
Whatever.
No, but it's one of those things where we need to test the limits, right? Because when you're stagnant without growth, you're stagnant. Mm-hmm. Which if water, that life-giving sustenance, is stagnant for too long, it then becomes poison. Mm-hmm. Same thing for our relationships.
And it just made me remember too, like the novelty of doing something new. It doesn't have to be, I won't say it doesn't have to be, but that novelty of doing something new together, that was a fresh new experience. And that added some freshness to our 27-year marriage, because it's new, it's exciting. It's like, oh my gosh, when you get something new and you're like, oh, it's like shiny new object. This was like shiny new object for me. And we talked about it and we shared, and, just the experience within itself. So, and also novelty, I don't say novelty, but it keeps it from being boring, Now, there was a time and a place to just sit and chill, and we did, and read, and we did.
There was
or
a day,
just sit and chill and do nothing.
We went and camped out at the most beautiful pool.
Oh my gosh!
And I'm not like a hang out at the pool kind of person, but we were there from like 9 a.m. till 4:30 p.m.
Yeah, we stayed at that pool all day.
And Red had my book. I had his needs, her needs right there by my side. We'd read a little bit. We'd go jump in the pool. Mm-hmm. We'd read a little bit. Wait for my drink to show up. We would read a little bit. It was a lot of fun.
Right. Had the waiters were bringing food to us. I mean, it was that was perfect. That was so perfect.
So we did chill, but we tested limits.
Yeah.
Now let me tell you about the show we went to.
Oh my God.
Because your boy, I'm kind of like vacation famous.
Ugh.
So if you remember last year when we went to Turks and Caicos, I am the reggae king, right? So I won the dance contest. I was deemed reggae king. I've got a trophy here in the office that says reggae king. Mm-hmm. And then our family ended up winning not the extended family, but our family, our core unit, we won Family Feud.
Mm-hmm. With Cousin Key.
Yeah, with Cousin Key. So it was the Houston-Sacramento connection. And so we had up on stage having a blast. We were picked out of all these people, and then we dusted everybody as we were there. And then so now this time we go to another country. We get on this trip and we go to this show. And the show, first off, thought we were going to die. This thing, we get on this boat. When we got on the boat, it was beautiful. A beautiful sunset cruise. Oh my gosh,
it was so beautiful.
We're on the water.
We taking pictures of the sunset. Everybody's on deck.
And then the storm came.
The storm.
Before we were able to make it to the island.
The storm came. It reminded me, I told Lovey, I said, I'm just waiting for King Kong to pop up over the hill, because it looked like we were going to Skull Island. It was so crazy. Lightning was striking the water. Yes.
I'm like, okay, this is not
cool.
It was crazy. People were still drinking and dancing, and I don't know if it's the military in me or not, but been in situations where you've been drinking, having a good time, but when something jumps off, it's like, okay, all of a sudden
Everybody's
it's like,
be still.
Yep. I'm like, okay, so then you go in observant mode, like, let me watch, let me see what's up, let me look at the exits, let me look at all these different things. I need to figure out who's who, size everybody up. So I'm watching the boat like, okay, who are the drunks? Who do I, who's going to act crazy if something goes down with this boat? And Rhonda's like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, I'm just watching. I'm just chilling.
Because why you gotta be the drunks though? But anyway, no, I was feeling that because I was like, okay, Lord, I'm praying now.
It was
I'm gonna
crazy.
need you
It was
to
crazy.
guide us. And then when we got to the island, it was bananas. We got there, rain is pouring, pouring, pouring. Now I'm in open toe wedge heels, and I got my little skirt on with my blouse with my shoulder out, and my sleeve, no sleeves or whatever. They had to give us raincoats, and when we get there, it was going to be dark anyway, but because it was supposed to be a candlelight dinner. So now I'm freaking out because I'm like, I don't want to put my feet down in the sand because I'm like, oh, there might be ants and they're trying to get away from the rain or whatever. I mean, it was just crazy. But finally the rain stopped and we were able to go up to the place
After dinner.
after dinner.
Yep.
And see the show. So of course, you tell the story. Go ahead.
And so, of course, so we had VIP seating. So we're sitting down there, and there was a group of us that were VIP. And there were probably 200 people that were there. Because it wasn't just our boat. There were a lot of boats that docked
there were other boats.
that were part of the show. So there were about maybe 200 or so people that were there. And, the show starts, and this guy, the main person was doing some things. And then he said he needed a volunteer. I did not raise my hand.
No, he could be. Let me tell you how it happened though, because he was like, everybody say roar, like we were supposed to be lions. We're lion roars and roar. Lovey's a cat, meow. He said, "Who did that?" And everybody pointed to him. So when it came time, he was like, "Yeah, I need a volunteer." He was like, "Who is it gonna be? Who is it gonna be?" He starts walking down, and he stops. And he looks, he's like, I feel like it should be a cat or something along those lines. Like, pick Lovey out.
He had those little cat ears.
Oh.
And he goes, "Oh, I know. I found who's going to be our lion." And he pulls up the cat ears. And he goes, "Meow."
Right.
And so I had to get up there and ended up becoming part of the show. And it was fun. We had a really good time.
Never heard the end of that. Just, now I'm first I was Turks and Caicos famous, and now I am Mexico famous. Because when we got back to the hotel, like the next day, people were like, that's the guy? I was like, geez, really? So he was like, yeah, that was me. I was on stage.
But I did not ruin the vacation. I didn't stop to autograph or take pictures.
Because no one was doing it.
They were thinking it. They were thinking it. But I was like, nah, you know what? We good. I don't need paparazzi here with my woman. But this is a good spot where I look. Every single episode, we try and do a raise the bar moment. Mm-hmm. Because we want you to raise the bar in your marriage. And it's sponsored by raisethebarmarriage.com. Mm-hmm. Go and check out the information there. I think you'll be very pleased. But the moment and the purpose of this is to give you something that you can do that even before the podcast ends, you're able to implement something that is going to raise the bar in your marriage. And BAR stands for belief, actions, results. Mm-hmm. If you can adjust your beliefs are going to dictate the actions you take on a daily basis, which in turn are going to yield results in your marriage or relationship. Mm-hmm. And the raise the bar advice that we're giving this time is to find a book for your relationship. It doesn't have to be a big, thick textbook, just something. Look for a book that talks about elevating your relationship, elevating your marriage. I've been reading His Needs, Her Needs, and it was recommended to me by one of my mentors. So I'm reading that book, but there's plenty others. There's lots of books out there that you can read. There's, what's the one about your, the gifts, we talked, the way we communicate, by Gary Chapman.
Gary Chapman.
Oh my goodness. I can't even think of it right now.
Emotional gifts. I can't think of it either.
I can't believe it. I can't think of the book.
You just drew a blank?
I did. Love languages. Oh my goodness. How could I forget that? But something as simple as, I won't say simple, it's a very good book, and it was instrumental for us early in our marriage. But The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, mm-hmm. right? How to Say I'm Sorry, which is also by Gary Chapman and other individuals. There's so many different books that you can actually read that can contribute, that can pay positive dividends for your relationship. Take a moment to have something in your nightstand that you can read and then start to implement. All you have to do is find maybe one or two things in the entire book, and I guarantee that those one or two things, if it really resonates with you, can make a difference in your relationship.
Yeah, I mean, in another just real quick thing, the reason behind us telling, not the reason behind us telling the story, but part of it is don't be so closed off and so set in your way of saying, oh no, I don't do that. I mean, I promise you I get it. I promise you I get it. But you never know what reward will be waiting for you if you open yourself up some. I ain't saying go crazy and go jumping off out no airplanes or anything like that. Somebody actually had nerve to ask me that earlier today. Yeah, that's not.
Hey, I figured, hey, you zip lining and rappelling, and
Okay.
there was a rappelling down a wall. There was a rappelling that was just a rope that she had to jump down, and she did it all. So I was thinking, you wouldn't jump out of plane?
No, I wouldn't jump out of plane. I
You
would
want to get pushed out of plane?
I would put the brakes on that one. But simply just saying, there's so many benefits, I believe, to being open and don't just always say no. Kind of like we have to tell Isaiah, because we'll start talking and he's already no, no. And then when he hears the whole thing, he's like, oh, actually, blah, blah. I'm like, nope, it's off the table now. Don't just be so quick to say no. Be open to adventure, to creating new shared experiences,
And testing your limits.
with your partner. Yeah. Because you never know how much fun you'll have, but also when you see the joy that it brings your partner. I got a kick out of how excited he was. I got a kick out of how excited he was, getting a kick out of how much fun I was having.
It was a blast. There was one in particular, the very last thing we did was it the very last thing?
When
we did that, there was a stand-up zip line where it was basically a surfboard that was tethered. And we had to stand.
Not like that one.
We had to stand back to back on this surfboard, and we zip lined across standing up. It was probably the easiest one, but it was also kind of freaky. It was kind of strange because we had to stand back to back, which we talked about in a previous podcast about having 360 degree vision for your marriage. By standing back to back, that way you have a full 360 degrees. And we did it, but it was elevated several hundred feet in the air over a forest, and we held on for dear life and went across.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be something that you can do together. It doesn't have to be as extreme as zip lining. It could be simply taking a walk around the neighborhood, something you've never done, something you don't do, and just getting out of the norm. But do it together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we appreciate you joining us this podcast. And if you got something out of it and you thought there were some great points, and you can think of somebody right now off the top of your head that, you know what, so-and-so needs to listen to this, send it over to them. Recommend it. If you could, put it out on your social media. Recommend to all your friends, family, cousins, aunties, everybody, and your uncles to actually listen to the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey. Until the next time.
Be blessed.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey. Please like, subscribe to, and review the show wherever you access it, and tell a friend about us. Visit marriedintocrazy.com and see how Snooks and Lovey can bless your marriage directly.